Looking for some paint color inspiration for your next project? Well, you've come to the right place, if I do say so myself. We at the Paint People aim to make the best painting and decorating content on YouTube. This is our series called Color Combos, where we put together 3 different color trios that all work together really nicely. We try to touch on many different paint companies, but today's episode features colors by Benjamin Moore. So if you're a fan of them, great. And if not, hopefully you can still get something out of this. Also, if you want to have some input yourself as to which paint companies we talk about more, you can do that by becoming a member and taking part in our member-only polls. And it's also a really great way to support the channel, which we really do appreciate as well. So we got 3 color combos, all of which contain 3 different colors. Generally, it is going to be your primary color first, which you could, I guess, think of as your wall color. Then you have your secondary color, which in this case could represent your trim, doors, and woodwork, and the tertiary or accent color, which is the 3rd color, and you could easily incorporate this as an accent wall, or maybe the wall behind your TV or fireplace or headboard, or you could even use it as an accent color on a piece of furniture that you're planning to repaint. There's lots you can do. Let's start with color 1A, I guess you could say, and it's the prestigious color called Refined AF75. And if you know me, you know I'm a sucker for those green-leaning neutrals, whether it's greeny beige or in this case, almost a lighter tea green. It's a fantastic alternative to beige because it stands out just a bit more and feels a little bit less monotonous to me. Green has re-emerged as a favorite to many designers, and I can see why. It's pretty much the definitive color of nature, of rejuvenation. So Refined helps deliver that in the form of a pretty subtle and soft, warm green. For the 1B color, which would be the trim color in this case, I'm going with Simply White. Simply due to the fact that it's a bright, crisp white with some lovely yellow warmth present in its undertones. I know I wanted something clean and stark to go against Refined, but I also liked that touch of warmth in Simply White, working alongside the dash of beige in Refined. There's also quite a bit of contrast between the two, nearly 20 percentage points of lightness in terms of their respective light reflectance values. So you will have a nice amount of contrast between the two, which is usually nice to have with your walls and your trim. What about the 3rd color? I guess the accent color in this case. Well, I went with Mulberry Wine, which is a shaded burgundy that has a touch of a black and purple mixed in as well. It sort of fills that same role that maybe a chocolate brown would in an otherwise grayscale decor, but the red in Mulberry Wine is actually quite complementary to Refined, so there is that back and forth relationship between the two, only they're also sharing some slightly neutral qualities as well. They are only really opposing one another on the color wheel, but they're not opposites in the sense where one's really neutral and the other one's really vibrant. So they have a positive working relationship. So that's the first color combo, which incorporates a little bit of the new green love affair we've been having lately, and also a little bit of a nice juicy punch of purple. The next one is a little more minimalist until we get to the 3rd color, I guess, but hold your horses, we'll get there. Let's start first with Soft Chamois, which remains one of my most recommendable neutrals to my clients. I find people are more likely to complain about a color feeling too dark rather than too light, which is why, of the warm neutrals that exist, Soft Chamois is one of the lightest ones that doesn't quite feel like a white paint. Its LRV is just under 79, so that's pretty light, but still about 13 points darker than Chantilly Lace, for example. Because it's neutral, there's really a lot of directions you can go in, but I picked Snowfall White as the corresponding trim color. It almost feels a bit more radiant as a white paint color compared to Simply White, but they're still within that same sort of niche, I would say. Simply White passes off more as a traditional white, while Snowfall White has this crispness to it that really comes through prominently next to Soft Chamois. It almost seems like it can have a touch of green in some cases, but not really when it's used as a trim color or on the baseboards. It has enough saturation where it'll feel special, unlike just a plain old white paint, which can sometimes feel a bit, I don't know, dreary or gray. So for our first 2 colors, we have 2 off-whites to start with. So that's a pretty minimal color pairing. And I wanted to bring in a lot more saturation with the 3rd color in this combo, Marsh Brown. This color feels rich and chocolatey to me, and it's more of a red-based brown rather than a green one, which may have nudged soft chamois into warm gray territory rather than beige gray. But going with a darker brown is such a simple choice to me because you can incorporate it in not only accents, but things like your flooring and definitely your furniture. You end up getting this really nice aesthetic of light and airy with rich doses of milk chocolate brown for a sensitive visual balance. Also, if you're liking these color combos so far, you can do me a solid and hit that like button for us, all of us at the Paint People team. But just you wait though, because our third color combo is probably my favorite of the bunch. Actually, it is. We're starting with the color Cotton Balls, which, not unlike some of the other white paint colors we've talked about, is really bright with an LRV over 90. Cotton Balls is extremely light and bright, but it's not the trim color in this case. It's actually the main color. It's what you're putting on your walls and probably your ceilings as well. You could totally put it on your trim as well, but I wanted to incorporate something a bit darker to contrast things a bit more. And it is another greeny neutral that I'm very fond of called April Showers. This color would be classified as a very light mid-tone color, I guess. And normally you might see these colors reversed, where April Showers would instead be the main color, but I really like this implementation just for something a bit different. Similar to our last pairing, you have a very warm, bright white working alongside a warmer gray-green color, only this one is a bit reversed. It's like this. For the accent color, or the tertiary color, I actually didn't want to go dark because April Showers on the trim and woodwork was supposed to be the more standout thing in this case. So I went with another warm off-white, although this one is a bit deeper and a bit buttery with a lovely combination of yellow and orange, and the color is called Buttermilk. So where Cotton Balls introduces a tiny bit of creamy warmth, Buttermilk is just blatant with it. And because it's so light as well, you don't need to limit it to just little flashes here and there. But you could also incorporate it more heavily throughout your space if you wanted to liven things up even more. You can think of it like a Cotton Balls Buttermilk tag team, where there's more of a balanced approach to those two. So instead of a 60-30-10 ratio, you can almost think of it as a 40-40-20 if you wanted. Can't get enough of color combos? We have another couple right over here that you do not want to miss. I promise.